Welcome to the Markets Happy Hour podcast, a weekly markets update for investors the world over. Each week we discuss inflation, geopolitics, interest rates, equity markets, and other asset classes. To try to answer the question, what does this mean for my investment portfolio? Let's dive in.
Well, let's kick right off and go into inflation. So this is obviously a topic that is not going away, literally or metaphorically, in the sense that we now have a kind of hovering in the US, at least around a 3% target. It says that headline inflation is rising again and services are slightly down. And as always, the mix of that, services now represent the bulk of the inflation number. We have heard that the Fed is data dependent, so highly focused on both this number and the jobs number. I think a slight problem is that the data is now getting a little murkier, if for no other reason, because we've had the government shutdown and a delay in some of the outputs. But as food remains persistent, energy has moved around with the fall in the oil price, but services certainly the staple there. And there is a sense that is 3% the new 2%, given that we've seemed to be unable to get closer to that 2% level. So this is going to press on the Fed. It's definitely going to press on the consumer. I'd love to pass it back to Michael now in terms of the inflation number in Australia. What are you seeing down there? And are there any similar indicators?
Yeah, so we're very similar. We're around that sort of a sticky three number as well, and we just had inflation surprise on the upside, which has caused people to reassess the likelihood of another cut from the Reserve Bank of Australia. I think it's quite interesting that we're seeing this backdrop even during a period where oil prices have been relatively stable and not that high. And so you're seeing inflation in spite of that, which was, often, is a cause of the spikes in inflation. And, also we're not really seeing that sort of goods deflation. And we haven't even felt the impact of the tariffs yet too much with the inflation. I think if anything, we're surprising a bit on the downside compared to where we are. So certainly shorter term, there's real pressure on the upper end of that bound.
It's really interesting because I know affordability has been top of mind for many Australians and certainly headlines, particularly around the housing market. And just in terms of this inflation number, so how would you say that is affecting the consumer when it comes to whether it's the lower end consumer or every consumer in terms of their spending power and how it contributes to the resilience of the Australian economy? Do you think they are feeling the pinch?
Definitely. Cost of living is definitely topical here. We also have one of the most expensive housing markets in the world. So a very large proportion of people's income goes to, either rental or paying off a very large mortgage. And so that I think has been, well, whilst it's been an area of wealth creation for those that have been in the property market. It's clearly a major impact on people's disposable income. And when you add to that, inflation at the grocery store or in the power bills, then obviously people start to really feel the pinch.